This meeting of the Hamilton City School Board of Education will come to order. Mr. Frazier, will you call the roll?
Mrs. Baker?
Here.
Mrs. Matthews?
Here.
Mr. Davidson?
I'd make a motion to excuse.
You? Second? Second?
Second.
We just need to note that they're not here for the record, which
Okay.
I'll do for the minutes.
Okay, thank you. So tonight, I think first on the agenda is an update from the city of Hamilton. Mr. Holbrook, you want to introduce our,
Yes, I have Congressman Joel Lauer here to speak to us. I must have missed that. To speak to us a little bit about what's going on with Hamilton and specifically about the Miami Conservatory.
We're working on that seat as congressman, so hold on, it won't be long.
I guess
just
it
want-
was councilman, wasn't it?
Ms. Baker and members of the Hamilton City School Board, I appreciate you letting me take some time to explain where we are at the city right now in addressing the Miami Conservancy District. I have been very passionate about my unwavering concerns about the assessment that the Miami Conservancy has placed on our citizens here in Hamilton and many of our businesses. From any governing body, I expect transparency, communication, and accountability, and I think they have failed miserably in all three areas. I tagged this as a case of taxation without representation. Warren Davidson followed up with a letter to Governor DeWine stating that he felt it was taxation without representation as well, and there are many reasons for that. Their calculations are very flawed, which I'll go into a little bit. The timing of this matter with the assessment raises serious questions for myself. I dubbed this a money grab, and after listening to some of their arguments and what they had to say last Thursday night, there is no question in my mind this is an absolute money grab off the raises in our property taxes following in 2022. I'm sorry. And I stand behind those words. And I told Mr. Rensler as well as Mary Lynn, I forget her last name right now, sorry, but I told them if I say it in a newspaper or another setting, I'm going to say it to them as well. And I still stand firmly that this is an absolute money grab. The calculations that they use are outdated. There is no exemption for hardship. And I know how hard this district worked during COVID to make sure that our kids, our students in this district had food and the things that they needed throughout that period. I know we worked hard with the families that were in hardship. This has no calculation for hardship, and it is shameful. They failed miserably in communicating with our citizens. Everybody was supposed to be notified by a card. Many of our citizens have not received cards that notified them of this assessment. And when the public hearing was made, people received cards 3 and 4 days after the public hearing. The potential conflict of interest with not being able to talk to judges who are in charge of this is where it comes down to taxation without representation. We have no way of communicating any needs or appealing any in this process, and it is very discouraging. I will say this. I know we think that it won't impact our school district. However, it will. Sam Byler has probably been at Spooky Nook, has probably been hit the worst, where his assessment will go from $9,000 a year to $477,000 a year, and he stated that he will have to generate an extra $2.5 million a year to be able to afford a $477,000 assessment. from there, it just trickles down. The small businesses that have come to support Spooky Nook, your municipal brews, will fold up if they have to pay their share of the assessment at $4,000. My concern is with future business developments coming in. We watched this town go downhill when we lost industries such as Champion Paper, the safe industry. We watched how this town was hit and how it was affected. Businesses, the hospitality business, which is revolved around the entertainment center of Spooky Nook, will not come. There is major concerns. We believe that Crawford Horing is still strong. We believe that the two other hotels that just recently signed, but we can't speak for the others at this time. That will impact the revenue that's generated in tax dollar. So small businesses up and down the river will leave, and that will affect us. However, my greatest fear, and I'm sitting here looking at Mike Dole, when Hamilton had plummeted to the bottom, Mike Dole and myself had a lot of students who were majorly affected of no jobs in the city of Hamilton. We had a lot of students who unfortunately went to crime, and we've seen a lot of kids that went down the wrong path, and many of them were incarcerated or didn't come back because of crime. We've seen the high crime rates when those industries left. I fear if industries don't come or we lose the industries that we have, I fear what that will do to our city. I fear what that will do to our students in the city of Hamilton. And I know that this board, I know that the administration in this district have worked very, very diligently to raise the scores, to help our kids who are families who are in need with serving food during summers and things like that. I know you recognize it, and I know it's important to your mission. I don't want to see that happen again. At this time, the city of Hamilton's not asking anything of you. Just support us, please. There'll be a movement at Municipal Brew on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. There will be another movement outside of City Hall this Friday, or next Friday, I'm sorry, on the 30th for another special meeting with MCD, and they're supposed to bring all their board members. I promise you that I will fight this passionately. I will fight this with trying to move legislation to change this, because their calculations are, in my opinion, outdated, and the process in which they do this is just unorganized. So,
Mr. Lauer, just a question. Does it affect every property owner in the
City of Hamilton?
Hamilton?
No, ma'am. Just along the river. Whoever was affected by the flood in 1913.
Okay.
Now, the problem with that is, in 1913, those calculations included the Erie Canal, which no longer exists.
Right.
So the properties from the Erie Canal that were affected by the Erie Canal are still being assessed.
Will affect everybody in Hamilton. but
Well, let's,
Not-
They won't get the assessments.
Right.
correct.
It will have an effect with the whole community.
Absolutely. And all of us are protected, but not all of us are assessed. But it will affect us.
Well, thank you for fighting the fight. If there is anything that we can do for you, we appreciate it.
I will let you know at this time. Just please support us. If you guys want to write letters to senators and Mr. Davidson, they are open to them. I think it's important that we flood all avenues to get this thing moving in the right direction.
I think, let us take that under consideration. I think something we could look at to support. I can't speak for the whole board.
And I can say the congressman's very well aware. He sent a representative to our military recognition, and we
Yes.
had a discussion on this very issue. So it's out there, and
Yes.
he's extremely aware. And I think he's been pretty supportive thus far of where we are with this.
100%. Before I got here, we had a great conversation, and he is 100% behind us.
Have we heard what about our senators?
Senator Lang and I are meeting on Saturday. Probably be phone conversation at this point, but
Letter with the rest of the,
there were 16 senators that has gotten behind this and has wrote a letter that they believe that this needs to be changed from how they from their
this is after 1913.
1917.
Necessary.
You've got,
We
yeah.
need a conservatory district,
100%.
but we don't need it how it is today. We don't need, these common pleas judges who aren't answerable to the people overseeing it. And I think what's happening now is hopefully on a state level, they'll see you can't have this. You can call it whatever you want, but it's a tax. And there needs to be directly elected officials making these decisions. And and you and I had a conversation. You said you don't want to see the Miami Conservatory District go away. You just want to see major changes.
It is necessary. If there were to be floods, we think of just our streets and some of our businesses being flooded. But if the water exceeds the banks, you have to look at our water treatment plant. You have to look at our sewer system and what it will be taking in and what will be the effects on the water. I am not denying by any means the necessity of MCD. However, I am questioning how they go about funding this operation because it has put Hamilton in a hardship.
Do you think that they're listening?
I believe Mr. Rentschler is. I believe Mary Lynn is, and I am in hopes that they are able to convince the other two that this isn't this. That I think they see the need for change. I think they're willing to change those two. However, convince the other districts are not as affected as we are, and I don't see that they find any wrong in the assessment.
They're trying to raise, what, $130 million?
So they're trying to put 47,000 people will be responsible for a $140 million project.
Because they haven't taken care of their
Since-
business over the last 20 years.
Absolutely.
So they're trying to, it seems as if they're trying to put that cost on our backs to be able to compensate for what they didn't do.
I'm sorry, what was that?
So it seems as if they're trying to put that price tag in our pockets for us to compensate for what they did not do.
That's what I personally believe, yes. I believe that there was some failures. I believe that they didn't hold their end of the bargain up for some years, and here we are paying for catch-up.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lauer.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
If you could come back and address, any updates, we'd appreciate it.
We may come back after May 3rd, and hopefully I can get Michael Ryan here. So
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you. Thank you.
Councilman.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We have an athletic update from the district.
Yes,
Looks like-
we have our athletic department here to give you an update on an extremely successful year in Hamilton athletics. And to lead that discussion is going to be Missy Harvey, our athletic director. Missy, I'm going to turn it over to you at this point.
I wish I was that tall. Man, oh man. First, just to get a few things out of the way, obviously, thank you for having us up here. I am every day forever grateful that I have this job. And I say that very sincerely. I said it from the day I took this job. We're making progress. And I think that part of that comes from the support that I feel every day when I come into my position. I feel like it's a big piece to our district. And I feel like this year we made strides, and I think that we have improved the culture at Hamilton High School through our athletic programs. So thank you to all of you. My staff, I'm short one. Mr. Crouch is not here today. RV is coaching a very important football game, and he is currently in Canton. So he says hello, but he is up doing more important things today. They actually play, I believe, Saturday. So they're up there practicing right now, and he is in Canton and couldn't be here, but he was definitely a part of this presentation today. My other two, my secretary, Jamie Cox, and my other assistant, freshman kind of athletic director, Mike Dole. So they are both with me today. Okay, what a great year. I can't even, when I kind of sat back and I thought about where we were, I think about where we wanted to go at the start of the year. And I can honestly tell you that we made those strides to start doing that. I look at not only what our kids are doing in the classroom, and you'll see that throughout our presentation, but what they're doing on the field and on the court. And let's start with how Hamilton showed up. Let's call it what it is. We had a kickoff like no other community could probably have. This revitalized the spirit within our community tremendously. Baden's fans are very passionate. Hamilton's fans are very passionate. When we were at Markham Park, what an awesome day. When you could see so much blue and green and so much spirit for our community. I didn't anticipate how big that day was going to be and how big that game was going to be until I had to speak to the mayor multiple times. And I realized, wow, this is kind of an important event. Get to the game. We have a sellout crowd. I'm not sure that the Shoreham has ever been that packed, minus graduation. But for an event like that, and to see again the amount of support and the spirit within those fences was amazing. I look at the amount of support that I had from all the people who worked in the background that day, all of our safe and secures, all of our administrators, all of those people who took that day as the opportunity to show off Hamilton, and we did it. And we did it with a lot of pride, and we did it with a lot of gusto. The result wasn't great, but I do believe that that result helped kind of propel us to a much better season. We also donated $10,000 to the Boys and Girls Club. They were in need, and our fans bought t-shirts, and our booster organizations jumped on, and to be able to present that check, we had the mayor flipping the coin for the start of the game. It was just an amazing day, and I am proud. I was probably more proud that day when I looked up in the stands, when you could see how crowded it was and what it actually meant to our community to play that. So let's talk football. Wow. For the first time in over almost 30 years, we had an 8-win season. We had our first ever playoff win in history. We defeated Sycamore. We were tied for the most season wins in a single season with 7. Coach Crouch recorded his 100th career victory. We were named All-Academic Ohio for football 2 years in a row. C.J. Bryant led our GMC in tackles this season with 124. R.J. Shepard tied a record for most touchdown receptions in a season with 7. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Those are just numbers. But what that season did for the hallways of Hamilton High and what it did for our other sports moving forward, that's where we saw the benefit. I truly believe that this team raised the bar as we move forward next year, definitely for football, but I also believe that it raised the bar for the rest of our sports this year and for years to come. Coach Crouch, what can I say? He's passionate. He truly believes in all of his staff. He truly believes in his players, and he believes in his community. That's what we look for in a head coach. When you have somebody like that leading your program, you know that good things are going to happen. He is invested in our schools. He is invested in our kids. This is only year 2. I think about where he can go from here. It definitely creates a level of excitement for all of us moving forward. The rest of our fall, it was great too. For the first time, we had 21 athletes that were named All-League. Last year, we only had 14. Our girls volleyball team finished 7th in a very tough GMC. That is the first time since 2012 that we ever finished in 7th place or above. Macy Pennington recorded her 1,000th assist in her career. Our soccer team showed great improvement. Aiden Hoyt had a great year on the golf course. Our JV cheer squad took first place at their GMC. Again, all bits and pieces as we start to move forward, as we start to put the pieces together, we're starting to see that progression that we've been looking for since I took over. Our fall All-League, again, another thing for the first time since 2000, I want to get the year right before I say it. The first time since 2008, we had a volleyball player named first team. 2008. Like, that's almost before we go back to like the GMC, like when you start to like look back, the history only goes back so far on the website. Like, that's how far back we've been going with some of these. I look at where the GMC is starting to respect us, and it shows up on these all-league selections that we get. Our fall state recognitions continued when we had our All-Ohio players. Trey Verdon was named second team. We had RJ Shepard, who was named honorable mention. Again, when we can get those kinds of awards coming from the state, those are things that are letting us know that we're going in the right direction and that our programs are doing well. Probably the most important slide for me when I look at the fall is our coaches of the year. These are chosen by their peers. This is not anything that's selected, this is a peer selection. Dwayne Stacy was named coach of the year in our GMC. That's how much respect he had. We finished 7th, but he was still named coach of the year because they know the strides that he made with volleyball this year. Coach Crouch was named co-coach of the year in Southwest District. That's a large pool of people who are actually saying that our coaches are doing a great job. So when I look at this year and when I look at our fall, this slide means a great deal to me because I know that we have the right coaches in the right spot to do what they're supposed to be doing. Now let's move to winter. I mean, it just keeps coming. We had our basketball team. They won the districts this year. The first time since 2004, it was the year that we won state. They made it to the regionals. First time since 2004. Some individual stats to kind of think about. And if you watched our team, they were fun to watch. They held teams to under 50 points a game almost all season. We had 3 athletes that shot over 50%, which meant that we were taking efficiency offensively as well. This was only the 3rd time since 2004 that we recorded 16 wins. That's a credit to Coach Higgins and what he brought into the season this year. I look at like all the things that the stats that you can always find like your top score, but when you look at what this team did as a team, that's why they got to where they got. If you talk about Coach Higgins, he said it better than I can say it, quite honestly. He works harder probably with some of our kids than anybody would ever know. Academically, athletically, he gives so much to our kids for them to be able to be successful. This was a goal of his when he first came in, was to be a district champ and to be in the Sweet 16. So he finally achieved that goal. With Kevin, everything is intentional. His staff, his practices, his comments, everything is designed to get the most out of every single athlete that he coaches. He makes his coaches better. He makes his teams better. And I will honestly say, I truly believe he helps make the school better as well. Swim. Our swim team's small but mighty. And I finally convinced Coach Wagner that sometimes less is more. It's not always about numbers. It's about quality over quantity. And this year, she definitely continued to improve. And again, I'm going to say it doesn't seem like a lot, but 7th place in our GMC by both teams, that's big. Over 20 years. You guys, it kind of just lets us know it's kind of I don't want to say it's a sad background, but it's what we've been missing. Those successes to propel all of our athletes to feel important and to want to be a part of something. It is stuff like this that keeps our kids coming back. Our 400 freestyle qualified for districts. Hazel Culver qualified in the 200 IM and the 100 breaststroke. We had a boys diver qualify for districts. How many of you even knew we had a boys diving team? Probably not many. They can't even practice around here because we really don't have a diving facility. They have to go out to Butler County, the Butler County Y to do it. But we had somebody qualify for districts. Great kid. Now let's talk about Hazel Culver. Wow. She's just an amazing athlete. And she comes from an amazing family that puts their values on so many positive things about our district. I can't tell you how many times they thanked me for kind of the support that I've given her. She is the first state qualifier as a female in swimming in the history of Big Blue. A small program who took this girl and who went to state. And not only did she go to state, but she raised the thing. She finished in the top 24 in Division I swimming. Our academic quiz team. Sometimes they make me feel not so smart. But Matt Nickel comes in often, and I talk to him, and I enjoy my conversations with him. He is so passionate. He is as passionate about academic quiz team as Coach Crouch is about football. And I know that sounds impossible, but it's legit. And if you've ever had a conversation with Matt Nickel, you know that to be very true. 15-3 this year. Most wins in the single season. They finished second in the Greater Miami Conference in the league and in postseason. They qualified for the academic competition in Ohio. They happened to defeat the city council in a little match that they had. And I will say this, when I talk to Coach Nickel, it is no surprise to me that his kids work as hard as they do in the off season as they do. I know how much time they put in, and I can't tell you how many times he said to me, I talk to other ADs or to other, coaches, and they say their AD doesn't really know anything about academic quizzing. I'm very, very, very educated on the academic quiz team process, and I'm proud to know that. I run that GMC program at the end of the year. I run the tournament. I look at those coaches as valuable as other ones, and when we have that league meet, I want them to feel important, and I want those athletes to feel important as well. Some other winter sport highlights that we had, Aiden Hoyt, if you ever watched him bowl, he's really good. He had 4 games over 260. He finished with a 217 average. We had 2 bowlers qualify for districts, Aiden Hoyt and Caitlin Getz. Julius Knowles broke the single season record for most wins with 44 in wrestling. CJ Bryant, I should say, recorded 28 wins in the 175-pound weight class in the GMC. So it wasn't just, it was all of our winter sports collaboratively doing great things and keeping programs together and numbers growing. Our wrestling team grew by probably 20 kids. Our academic team was bigger. Our swimming team grew a little bit. Everything is getting better, and it's been a methodical process that we've kind of put together in our academic department, in our athletic department, to get us there. Our winter state qualifiers, I went to watch Hazel swim. It was probably the longest day of my life, but I have zero regrets. I drove 4 hours up, turned around, came 4 hours back because we had a wrestling meet. That was one of the coolest places I have ever been to watch an event. The passion that was in that gym and the organization that took place in that natatorium were amazing. To watch Hazel walk out there as a big blue swimmer, knowing that she was representing us, and to know that she improved that tremendously, she's going back. There's no doubt in my mind she's going back. She's just a junior. And then with Julius Knowles, Coach Crouch went up and watched him. He was up at the Schottenstein Center at Columbus. He qualified for state in the 120-pound category. He's just a junior too. So I look at all these underclassmen who are doing such great things, and they're getting better and better and better, and they're actually making their teammates better as they go. In the winter, we had 5 first team, and I know it looks like Caleb Thomas is up there twice. He's not. It's for chess and academic quiz team. But we had a total of 9. That was up from last year as well. Again, continuing to get that respect from the GMC is kind of one of those things that to me is very important. If we start to get noticed by everybody else, it means that we're doing everything right at the Big Blue. And that's what I want to do. We're going to do things the right way, and we're going to constantly improve. Okay, the dunk heard round Southwest Ohio. I don't know how many of you were at that game, but I'm telling you what, that dunk right there is going to go in my office, that entire sequence right there. The fact that he was recognized, honorable mention Ohio, all Ohio, is a true testament to what this kid went through. He just started playing basketball when he was truly organized in 8th grade. When I knew him as a freshman in class, he was such a quiet individual. Who would have ever thought that he would be doing this? And let alone, he's now going on a scholarship due to his change in academic presence, and his athletic abilities have improved so much. He was selected to play in the Ohio-Kentucky All-Star game. Again, I don't know how many of you saw that dunk that was shown by, I think it was Channel 9. He actually bruised his elbow because he went so high up. They call it kind of, I think, the honey pot dunk. But he's such a soft-spoken and just, I talk to his mom, and sometimes she says, I don't even think he knows how good he really is. And I don't think that sometimes he actually knows how far he can go because he's such a humble individual. I am so glad that I got to know him, and I'm so glad that I got to see this dunk occur and all of the hype that it got because, again, it brought recognition to Hamilton High School. A little bit about our spring, and they're just kind of cooking, and I'm sorry it was under construction when you guys got this last week because I wanted to make it as current as I could. Both our baseball and our softball team are currently in second place in the league. Cornell Bennett McCoy is in the top 5 in strikeouts so far and in wins. Our baseball team has won 7 of their last 8 games. Softball, Emily Schoppacher. That's a name that's tough to say, but I've learned how to spell it very well and very quickly. She's leading the league in wins and strikeouts. She's 4th in ERA. Again, she's an underclassman. But I look at these 2 programs who continue to do good things. Last year when our softball team kind of got to the districts, it kind of started it. They're just continuing it as we go. Our fall was great. Our winter was great. Our spring is continuing. Our track team has had several individual and team top 3s where they've been. I can't wait to see where they get into when they get to the GMCs and the districts. Our girls' numbers have almost doubled from last year on the track team. It's a place we've always kind of struggled, but those numbers are going up as well. Another slide that I'm extremely proud of, our all-academic GMC. And please understand, this is varsity athletes only. So the number, just varsity athletes. We had 163 get recognized by the GMC for all-academic. That's awesome. Led by some of our teams that some people may not think about. We definitely put the student and student athlete. 6 of our top 20 seniors, including our valedictorian, play sports. We went on to look at next year. We have 9 of the top 20 currently juniors that play sports. So these kids are leaders not only in the classroom, but out on the fields and the courts. We're actually putting it all together. Again, we're doing things the right way. We're doing things the way that they need to be done for our athletes to be successful now and later. And that goes classroom first and then to their sports fields. Our Athletes of the Week, I am proud that Wings on Brookwood does this. She has been a sponsor for us for years. We've recognized over 100, I would say probably closer to 150. Every Athlete of the Week gets a $10 gift card from Wings and a t-shirt. As a small local business, for her to do this, it shows the value that she puts on our sports. And I am thrilled to call, I'm thrilled to call her my friend, but I'm also thrilled to call her a very successful business owner. Our signing days, we had several kids sign. I want to double this. I don't think that we have enough kids signing. I will say this is an area I want to improve on. This is an area that I want to see where we have 25 or 30 kids that are taking those opportunities to play at the next level. Our boosters. I'm just going to start with over $50,000. I'm just going to say that to start with. That's what they have contributed to the athletic program alone this year. That's not including academic, what they've done on that side of it. To my department, they have contributed over $50,000 to help our kids. They bought wrestling mats. They bought cheer mats. They bought stuff for the weight room. They bought 2 shooting machines. They bought a golf cart that they have. They bought a serving machine that serves like 100 miles an hour for our volleyball teams. That was scary the first time I saw it. Not gonna lie, and I would not do that. They bought range finders for our golfers. They have not told, when I've come to them with things that we need to buy, big ticket items, they have not told me no. And I am proud of what they do. They are small but mighty. There are not many of them. If you look at that one picture, they have redone the concession stand out at the baseball field. I was at this softball game the other day, and this lady walked in, and she walked back out, And I thought that she knew one of our people that was working. And then she brought her son in. And she said, see, I told you they have pretzels. I think she thought it was kind of the Meyer Express, where it was kind of come in and self-serve because it was so set up so nicely and organized. And we had to say, oh, but wait, you got to go outside to the window. But it was set up so well. And the lady was like, oh, I'm sorry. It was just one of those moments. But it looks like a professional setup in there. And that's something that they've done. So I'm super proud of that relationship that I have with them. Our alumni are very important to me. When I started asking coaches to send me pictures, and I look at all of these kids and all these people who come back. I don't know if you were at the football game where the cheerleaders came back. They lined the football field. That's the second time we've done that because my sister and I did it way back, and we had just as many then. Our soccer teams take big pride in bringing their alumni back. Look at the picture of Mr. Greavy with Mr. Crouch. Those are alumni that we need to come back. Our boys basketball team this year kind of started small. They had our youth programs all the way up, and those alumni came back and played basketball. As I sat and watched that night, those guys had so much fun just kind of reconnecting and talking. Our alumni can be so impactful to our kids that are currently playing. This is an area that we have to keep utilizing. We have to have those alumni that know what it feels like to be a part of Big Blue and all the pride that was a part of it, so that we can start to keep going that direction now that we're starting that way. These alumni can impact everybody. And as I looked at the programs who had it, we're starting to see big things come. I'm big on local. This is my hometown. This is always going to be my hometown. So for me, whenever I have the opportunity to do things locally, that's what we're going to do. We do a lot with Rapid Apparel, who's right over on Brookwood, again, Wings. We have now gone back to Pullman lanes for our bowling. We went to them when it was Columbia, kind of start to get to shambles. So we ended up at Fairfield. Our home bowling facility was at Fairfield. Pullman Lanes took the time and the money to rebuild their bowling lanes to bring Hamilton bowling back. Unsung Salvage is another local on Main Street. Heirloom, I've started to use them a lot for a lot of our logoing and for a lot of our signage that you start to see. They are a local business. Headlines, I am pleased that we are now working together with them for a lot of uniforms and for a lot of coaches' gear. Those are things that I want our community to know that they're important. That's important because I want them to be able to come back and I want them to give back. So whenever we have this opportunity, the Fit and Y is another one. I should have put it on here. They give our swim team a home. So we don't have to build a swimming pool. Not one of my long-term goals, by the way. But they welcome them in. They have told us that we can put up record boards over at the Fit and Y for our swimmers. Our swimmers have never had anything like that. So when I told Hazel Culver that her name was going to be up there about 25 times, she was thrilled. But all of these community relationships, to me, are what are going to help keep us growing. If we can continue to get that support and we continue to give back to our community, it only makes sense that they're going to give back to us. The latest upgrades that we've had, the Schwarm press box, obviously that opened with the Schwarm, the Baden game. The new baseball scoreboard, I'm real big on making things consistent. So now the Schwarm, the softball, and the baseball, they all look the same. They all have the same arch at the top. They are all very similar, which gives our facilities a much more unified look. So I thank the board and everybody for their ability to contribute to those and pay for those for us to have. What's ahead? Well, some of you may be asking what the number 8 is. We stand to finish in 8th place in the All-League Trophy for the GMC. Again, it's a small step. But I'm going to say this. Over the last 20 years, we have finished either 9th or 10th, 19 of 20 years. It's a baby step, but it's a step. We are close to 7th place. Those are the things that motivate me. Those are the things that keep the fire under my feet. Those are the things that are going to keep the fire under our coaches' feet because we are starting to see that progress. Now, there are sports we don't have that other GMC schools have, lacrosse and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that we're ever going to get to the top of the GMC, but to know that we're moving up means a lot. And that means a lot to our athletes and our coaches and to my department. Goals. You always have to have goals. We started some things this year that I want to start to continue on. We did a senior breakfast, and it was great. I apologize that I didn't get to it for the spring. Spring just kind of came, but it is something that I definitely want to continue to do. We just got information from Gipper that we can start doing a newsletter through Gipper. It's a much easier way to kind of send out newsletters for our programs. I said when I took this job that I would always be available to our parents. To this day, I am still that person. I've not turned away a parent meeting. I will never turn away a parent meeting. I feel that that's my role. I have to be able to hear that. We have to be able to take those criticisms so that we can only get better. We've updated some current areas. There are some more that probably need to be updated. But for me, the biggest piece is this year, I believe, was the first year that we started to make some strides. I was told it would take 5 years by a pretty wise man sitting over next to me. I told him no way, but he was right. But we're getting there. I believe in 5 years we will be where we're supposed to be. And I believe that, again, it's by doing things the right way and doing things the way that I know can make us better. In the long term, sorry, Jeremy, I would love to have a multi-purpose building. I think that we need it. I think that it's one of those things that has it's got a big ticket on it. But I truly believe if we want to advance our athletics as far as we can, a building like this that would give us more access to more facilities, more times during the day for all of our athletes is something we need to consider. I want to work to maintain and go after additional scoreboard sponsors. When I thought about this year, this is kind of year 10, but we had COVID. So I'm not going to go after them for more money this year. I think they deserve a year after COVID. I think we all kind of deserve a little. So starting next year when I start to go, I want to go after those businesses again to get on that scoreboard. And I want there to be a line to get on our scoreboard because they want to be seen by our community. Those alumni relationships need to be built. Those are things that we need to go back into. We need to get them speaking to our athletes. We need to get them speaking in our buildings. We need to keep them coaching. When I look at some of the coaches that we've brought in, they're alumni, and they get it. And they live in our community, and they understand what it means to be Big Blue. Okay, any questions? I know it was a lot. I'm sorry. I probably went over my time limit. I don't know. I'm just excited. I'm excited about where we're at and where we're going to go.
Are you excited, Missy?
No, not at all.
No, great job.
Thank you.
Great presentation, and it has been a great year, and so proud of all of the athletics and you and your people that work with you and the coaches, and just a great year.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you so much, Missy, for being here. You, your team, it has definitely been a fun season to watch. And it's like it's been a build up to get to this point. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the losses, some of the bad seasons. But I mean, we're here and we're celebrating this, and we're looking forward to the future of what's to be in our athletics. And we appreciate you for your professionalism, your diligence to continue to stay the course and be in hometown. And we're really want to say thank you again to those local businesses that that support our athletes and our program to make it better and to make sure that they have the resources that they need to be successful. So we appreciate them investing their dollars and in their time, and our community as a whole. Thank you guys, everybody, for coming out to supporting those games and and being there to support our kids, because it's important when they can look up in their crowd and see a packed stadium and just all the community support, because it's easy to come to a game and be mad about the sports team's not doing as well and who needs to be fired and what coach needs to be here and doing this. But it's fun when you can celebrate, and everybody likes to win, so it's fun when you can be a part of those wins, and everybody's carpooling down to the Centos to be able to watch the boys play. Those are exciting times. I don't know how many times I got text messages from all the kids. Miss Shaq, you riding down to the Centos? Can I hop in the car with you? So it was cool seeing the kids excited about wanting to be a part. So again, thank you so much for your excitement and just all the work you've done to make our district better, our athletics better, and our boosters as well for investing resources to make our program better.
Thanks.
Missy, you and I talk all the time, and every time I see you, I tell you, you're doing a great job. And when you took the job, you inherited a program that was not in very good shape. And you've worked hard, and now we see what you've done. And I'm proud of what you've done and what your staff has done and what our athletes and our coaches have done. You put the right people in the right places, and that's great. But what's really amazing to me and what I'm really proud of is that academics are still important. And you have 163 athletes that were student, or,
The all league athletes.
thank you. And that's what we're after. I'm so proud of you for that, and keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Last week, Missy, I was at an event and I was asked a question and I thought of you. I was asked if you could ask in an interview one question to any potential coach, what would it be? And my answer to that, after giving it some thought, was I want to know how you're going to make your program as important as what the kid learns in chemistry class on a daily basis. And I think you spoke to that. I think that is our philosophy. Sports are important. Being part of a team's important. There are learning opportunities there, just like there's learning opportunities in our classrooms. And I think it can expand those, it can expand that person and make them more well-rounded by those participation in a variety of different activities. You mentioned that a number of times tonight. Not only did you talk about the hard skills, the academic skills and all that, but I think you learned skills on dealing with people, on working through conflict, things aren't always easy. Things aren't always easy in life. What are you going to do? Are you going to quit? Are you going to grind and you're going to figure out how to overcome those? And I think that a lot of the things that we're starting to see with our coaches and embedding those things and giving those students those experiences, when they graduate, they are going to be successful with whatever they choose to do. And a part of that is the experiences they have at high school. I want to compliment yourself, Mike, Jamie, Arvy's not here, and John. John's had has been involved with this an awful lot as well, and all of you. That's a big organization. We play, in my personal opinion, the most difficult public school league in the state of Ohio.
I would agree.
And I don't say that lightly. I mean that sincerely in the fact that it is a challenging league. And we compete well, and we're going to continue to compete, and I know that. And so I couldn't be prouder of where we are. I remember having that discussion with you. God, was that 5 years ago?
Well, no, it was 3 years ago, but I've still got 2 more years to get to that goal that I told you in a year. I told you when we first met, I said, in a year, I'm going to turn things around. And you're like, it's probably not going to happen. And I was like, it's going to. But it's taken time. But that time that has been invested has been worthwhile, and I'm starting to see that. So I appreciate that conversation that you had with me.
Yeah, and we are seeing it. And now the big part of the job, how do you continue the trend? Because
Next
we're going
phase.
to continue it. That's not optional. It's just a matter of it's exciting.
Good.
And I thank you. I know the hours you put in. I know that high school sports takes a tremendous toll on someone's personal life. Just the number of events and the time, and you got to love it. You got to love it to be in it. And you do.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all, too, for being here. I believe Andrea is going to give us an update on some curriculum and instruction.
Actually, President Baker, our instruction team is here tonight. So we have our director of K-6 programs who will first update us on some of the literacy changes. As you've seen in the state, there's a lot of legislation coming down. So Mrs. Carla Castater will give us a presentation, and then Mr. Jeremiah Hinton, our 712 director of curriculum and instruction, will follow up.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm not sure mine is going to be as exciting as all the great things that are happening in athletics, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our elementary curriculum and changes coming down from the state, things we need to do to make sure that we're doing everything our kids need in order to become amazing readers and members of our community. So, let's see. This slide you're going to see a lot. You might remember seeing it last year when we presented some things about curriculum. And it's just kind of our why we do the things we do in our curriculum department, how we kind of operate as a whole, that we have high expectations for our students. We feel that that should be reflected in the curriculums that our students are getting. Those should be based on grade level standards. They should be evidence-based. We should be scaffolding them, and they should be rigorous. And we want to do that so that we can meet the needs of our kids, and we use data to drive that. So the science of reading, the big topic of all things literacy in the state of Ohio right now and pretty much across the country, is what's driving this move. So within the science of literacy, or the science of reading, they have the simple view of reading. You will see that this will kind of guide our curriculum selection as we move forward in our district, and has been guiding it for a while. Part of that is this equation of word recognition times language comprehension equals reading comprehension. And you have to have both of those things in order to get to reading comprehension. It's a multiplication problem for a reason. So if a child doesn't have word recognition and they can understand language, they're still not going to be able to get to reading comprehension. So we have to make sure that we've covered those areas when we look at our curriculum. I've linked in some of our frameworks. I'm not going to talk about those now, but you're welcome to explore them in your slides. And as we focus on the science of literacy, we really have to move towards structured literacy. And that is a very explicit and systematic way of teaching reading. It's based on the science of reading, which is years of research about how children learn to read and how the brain works. And so we have to really focus in and make sure that the things we have teachers doing are based on those things. So here's our equation for Hamilton. We were doing really good on the left side of the equation. We have really great reading phonics, which we adopted last year. Our teachers love it, our kids love it, they're learning, they're growing. It is just a really great program. We also have Heggerty, which is our phonemic awareness piece. And we also have 2 resources for improving morphemic awareness, which is the understanding the small meaning within words and how kids can learn those things to help them decode and also understand language. That has to be part of the multiplication problem, and then we have to have our language comprehension piece. And so we are moving towards adopting expeditionary learning. And we already have it from 6 to 8. 6 to 8 adopted it this year, full on. So adopting this gives us a full continuum from K to 8 of the same program that speaks the same language, exposes children to the same things. And we can have vertical conversations around it. We can have teachers talking amongst themselves about how they're helping children learn. So we're really excited about this new program. So the science of reading has led to the state of Ohio having certain things. There is a new bill called House Bill 33, and within that bill, it requires that every district in Ohio has to use a core curriculum that is approved by them. So they put out a list of curriculums that we had to choose from. Luckily, the program that we were already moving towards was first on the list. They were first on the list because they are all green on Ed Reports, which I'll talk about a little later. But that program is on the list for one of the programs from K to 5, as well as our really great reading program is in the supportive programs. So things that we might pull in to support different areas. We really like the way that focuses on the phonemic awareness and phonics. So we want to combine that with EL. That is all approved by the state. So a little bit about expeditionary learning. I'm not going to read all of this for the sake of time, but it is really focused on developing high-level thinkers. It's very rigorous. It includes real-world challenges and projects, authentic reading and writing, and it's engaging for kids. We want kids engaged in what they're learning, and we want to make sure that, again, we have high expectations for them, and we're presenting them with grade-level standards, and they get the education that they deserve. This is just a quick little article that was in one of the things the state sends out about Governor DeWine visiting a school in Lancaster. They were highlighted for their literacy programs, and one of the things they mentioned in the article was that they visited a classroom that was a third grade classroom for EL, and they spoke very highly of the things they saw going on in that room. And so we just wanted to share with you that other districts are taking this program on. It is approved, and they're seeing great successes with it. So let's just talk a little bit more about it. It consists of 4 modules. They're about 6 to 8 weeks each. So it equals out to about 1 a quarter. And they're about 1-hour lessons of content learning. It includes a lot of things, including content connections, habits of character. There are assessments worked in. There are performance tasks that are at the end of the modules. Some of you were in attendance at the end result of one in Ridgeway, and I'll share some pictures from that later. The 3 to 5 component has All Block, which also digs a little deeper into some things, looks at some complex text, word study, vocabulary, gives a teacher a time to have some small group rotations. And our K to 2 programs also have time worked into their schedule to have small group instruction so they can really narrow down the needs of the students and dig deep. Here are some topics that go for each one of the grade levels, and I'll just briefly touch on them. You will notice that there is a lot of science and a lot of social studies. The research is showing that we need to include content learning in our literacy learning. We're building background knowledge for our kids. This is especially important for our ESL students who don't come to school with that background knowledge. They get a chance to build that knowledge through the books that they're reading and the activities that the teachers are doing with them. So kindergarten does everything from collaborative classroom, things like toys and play. They have a whole unit based on toys. But then they also do weather wonders and trees and talking about contributing to their community. First grade has studying the moon and the sun and the stars. And then they do a lot of research and work with birds and learning different things about that. Second grade is, again, the schools and community. You'll see that's a common theme. They talk about the fossils. They talk about pollination. They have a lot of really good books to go around those areas, and they work on researching as they're doing it. Third grade has overcoming learning challenges and a huge focus on frogs. And we were able to go into some classrooms this year that were piloting, and the kids were just learning amazing things about frogs and could not wait to write about it, could not wait to tell you about it, could not wait to read more about it. So just seeing that engagement and that excitement in our kids is so important to us. Fourth grade does poetry, animal defense mechanisms, American Revolution. Fifth grade has human rights, the rainforest. I was able to see a whole pod of a building transformed into the rainforest at Crawford Woods, why they started this unit. Now, as we get a little further in to why we chose it, you had heard me say earlier that it met all green on ed reports. The state of Ohio, when they went to start their list of what programs would be approved, this was one of the first things they looked at. They said the first list that automatically made it onto the first programs that automatically made it onto the list had to be all green in ed reports. We were so excited when EL was on that list. That's why we chose it in the first place to pilot it when we started with the 6 through 8. We knew it was on the list for all green. We knew that it gave good things to kids. It had high ratings in text quality, building knowledge, and the usability. And so that's why we undertook it in the first place 2 years ago. So we were super happy to see that it made the list for that reason. And you'll see it's the same for 3, 4, and 5. Again, it gives us a continuation of our curriculum. Our kids are hearing the same things. They're doing the same routines so that when they go into 5th grade and the teacher starts to talk about their all block, they know what it looks like because they did it in 4th grade. And so we're excited to see that happen as we start to add on these other grades into the program. Here's our timeline. I just wanted to kind of go through it so you can see where we've been and where we're going. So in 2022, 2023, we started an EL pilot. Jeremiah and I worked together on that with 6th through 8th grade. They were the first ones to pilot it. We had a couple teachers in each one of those grades that did it. We met with them throughout all the PD days, worked through things. loved what we saw. We had coaches supporting them throughout. And then we decided we really wanted to move this down from 3 to 5. So we decided to have a pilot for 3 to 5 for the next school year. So we rolled that out. We had so many people and so many principals want to do this program that we changed it to a soft start, because it was really not a pilot anymore, because we had whole buildings wanting to do all of the program. So we ended up with a soft start the following year. We also worked together to develop an EL website just for our district. All of the materials are housed on the Expeditionary Learning website, the company's website. But we felt like there was a lot of places to find things. So we listened to teachers and we thought, we have to make it easier on them. So we made our own website so that they had everything they needed right there in the folders ready to go when they clicked on that. And that's something that's available to them, and we will add on all the other grade levels as we move into next year. So this year we had full implementation 6 to 8. 3rd through 5th was in their soft start, and we continued with our coaching support, which was instrumental. We couldn't have done it without that, because they are there in the classroom all the time working through those lessons with the teachers, helping them to backwards plan so they know where they're going based on the assessment that they're going to end with. Then we, as a curriculum team, decided we really want this to be K-5 program. We want the continuum. Our K-2 teachers were missing that part of the curriculum, so we wanted to make sure we pulled that in. So one thing we have planned for into May is we want to pull in some K-2 teacher focus groups just to kind of see from them. We value their input. We want to know what they need as we're moving in. What kind of things do you see as you're looking through these lessons that we can do to support you to make this successful next year? That's something coming in May. And as we look towards next year, we hope to be in full implementation. We will meet the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce requirements, and we will continue to have our coaches there supporting everything. We make it a very integral part of our PD days in order to make sure that they have time to collaborate. We bring people from different buildings together, so all the kindergarten teachers from all of the district can work together and look at the curriculum and learn different things that their same grade level teachers are doing in other buildings to make it successful. All right. Anybody have any questions? This is just some pictures of some of you attending something at Ridgeway. And that was where they did projects to solve a problem at their building. That was based on a book they had read in the program. And then I also have a video in here, but I know we're running kind of short on time, so I won't play the video, but feel free to go in and watch it. It is some of our students from Ridgeway at 6th grade that talked about how much they really liked the program. So, any questions? I feel like I kind of raced through that. Hopefully I didn't go too fast.
No, but I will attest, I really enjoyed being involved with that program at Ridgeway. That's the 2nd year I've done that. And I like to see, it's interesting, the consistency of the levels through the grade. I can imagine that that's got to be very helpful to students. And,
Absolutely.
especially after the summer break and all that, so it's all familiar to them. So I'm glad to see this type of curriculum
Yeah.
going on.
I've done it 2 years in a row and just totally enjoyed it. And some of the things they come up with that actually get funded.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just amazing. But I'm really excited about what you presented to us, because it is important that students learn how to read, but also comprehend what they're reading. Excited about this, and I hope it flourishes and kids do well.
I think it will. It'll be awesome to see all of the different end of the unit projects that come out. I'm sure you guys will get more invitations to different little things. I know the 3rd graders did like a frog presentation in one of the buildings, and it's really awesome to see them engaged and enjoying, but then also really truly learning the things that they need to be learning. Right there.
And so impressive on how they give those presentations. I
Yes.
mean, it amazes me.
Yeah,
So-
they did an amazing job that day. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here and presenting. I haven't had the opportunity to be a part, but I look forward to being a part of. I've heard nothing but great things from our fellow board members, so I look forward to being a part. And again, thank you. like I said again, I think reading is definitely, obviously, fundamental and base for our kids to be able to build upon and to, excel in their other academics. So we thank you for that opportunity for them to have it and to have the most current resources to be able to do those things, and that we're all able to come together to make sure that that is happening in our district. So definitely appreciate it.
Well, Carla, thank you for taking this on. And one of the things that was not mentioned is the fact that every single teacher and administrator in every district in the state of Ohio is required by the end of next year to go through training on the science of reading. And depending on grade level and what you teach, depends on how much time that those items take. And I don't care if you're a music teacher or a third grade reading teacher, you have to go through some type of training in order to do that. So this is quite a big initiative. We're a little bit ahead of the curve because many of the components of this we have already started, but it's still going to be a huge undertaking. And you're certainly going to earn a paycheck next year, so helping us get through that. But thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right, Jeremiah's going to take over.
All right, evening. Let me get me pulled up here. Ah, beautiful. Excellent. All right, are you excited to hear more about academics and mathematics? Right? Save the best for last. All righty, here we go. So, we were talking earlier, like what makes us nervous before these presentations, and I tend to have a arm leak, like underneath my arm leaks a lot, so I'm glad I'm wearing a jacket. So I just want to be vulnerable tonight with you. But Carla is fantastic. Round of applause for her because her presentation was fantastic, and I think she should do TED Talks. Tell her that all the time. Very, very good. Very good. All right, well, confession about me is that I'm a kind of a junkie with documentaries. And I don't know, is anyone else a documentary junkie? I absolutely love them. I think there's one missing that they should create. Back in 1964, there was a psychologist by the name of Robert Rosenthal. And he visited a school district in California where he came in with his team of psychologists and gave an IQ test to all the kids in the district. And they told the teachers, we're gonna let you know which students have a high capability of performing really, really well. What they didn't tell the teachers was those kids were actually randomly selected. They did give them an IQ test, but as far as who they told the teachers were high-performing students, they were just randomly selected, so they didn't know that. So the teachers went in thinking these kids are gonna be my high performers. At the end of the school year, time goes on, end of the year is here, they retook the test, the results. Those students who were labeled as high performers outperformed their peers, even though they were randomly selected. Two takeaways from that. One is expectations matter, right? So when leaders or authority figures, when they expect more from others, they tend to get it. The other side of that is the individual, the internalization, the students, right? Targets of positive projections, and when they get those optimistic labels, they tend to rise to the occasion. So Carla did a great job earlier talking about, as a department, how we, not shifting.
There you go.
There we go. Talked about our why and our expectations. So she did a good job with that. And I want to say alongside with expectations of behavior, high expectations of the academic standards of our young scholars, the standards that they should reach are absolutely vital. So if we don't expect students, or we don't think they can, or we don't believe that they can, they probably will not, right? So it helps what I call to pitch it up. How can I pitch it up as a director? How can I pitch it up to our teachers? And how can the teachers then pitch it up to the students? And when I say pitch it up, what I mean by that is exploring all of the possible opportunities for taking a more challenging path, right? And then also eliminating those low-level tasks that do not push our students forward. So that's what we're doing here tonight with this exploration? Is it going to move forward for me? A little slow. All right. So one way that you and I can work together as a board and as a district office is to then bring on high quality instructional materials for our teachers. So providing them those high quality instructional materials is a quick win. It's an easy way to provide them something so they can build their lessons from, build their assessments from. And the interesting thing about 7-12, they're going to see 130, 150 students a day, and every class, every bell is a mixed achieving class. So the challenge for those teachers is how do they pitch the material so that everyone is challenged and supported to make progress. So rather than teaching to the middle, we've been really pushing and challenging our teachers to teach to the top. And when you teach to the top, it kind of implies a default approach, a teacher mindset, where we teach so the highest attainer in the room are always challenged, while also providing scaffolds and supports so that all of the students can grow. So I would say pitching it up kind of involves switching the thinking from how can we make it easier for you to how can we help you climb higher. So with that in mind, I want for you to join me tonight. You're going to get an opportunity later for us to collaborate together with this plan that we have here for mathematics. So I want to kind of break it down into two different buckets, 9-12, 9th through 12th grade first. Here's kind of been the journey this year. I wanted to ask some questions first and see where we were at. Just because you come in, the biggest complaint you hear a lot of times is the new person came in, they just want to change things. But so I don't want to just change things. So let's come in and ask questions and see where the needs are and if there is a need for change. One of the interesting things about 9-12 is they came to me and said, hey, we really need a new math curriculum. So asking why, they said, well, we had our last adoption was in 2017. The Ohio, the Common Core, you remember that? That came out in 2010. But then the state of Ohio in 2017, 2018, we kind of revised and updated our math standards. So just missed the mark with that. So we already had materials that were slightly out, but no big deal, we can handle that, but it does cause some issues. So we had some alignment issues. But I only wanted to focus on Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 because, one, those are required for graduation. Every student needs 4 math credits to graduate, but also Algebra 1 has an end-of-course test, Geometry has an end-of-course test, and every kid has to take Algebra 2 before they graduate or an equivalent. So that's why we decided to focus on those. So here's the process that we took. I put together a pilot steering committee. It involved the department heads, some teachers. We met monthly, and the first thing I did is I researched Ed Reports, which is kind of that third party where they independently test and review materials. And I said, okay, I'm comfortable with any of these 6 vendors for the math programs. But we're going to come together, look at some rubrics, let them explore, and they had a choice, and when they narrowed it down to 1 that they wanted to pilot for the year. So that's one way that I can involve them, and I believe involvement equals commitment. So we piloted those materials. We met on a monthly basis to kind of say, hey, how's it going? What does it look like? Do you have anything that you need to do? And the one that we chose to pilot was Big Ideas Learning. So Big Ideas has very strong conceptual foundation, very rigorous and very aligned. They have a alignment in the green for on Ed Reports, and it's very digital, seamless experience, a lot of real-world application as well. So very strong program, and the teachers liked it, and it provided a lot of supports for the teachers so they could pitch it up to every student. So we got teachers' feedback, we got student feedback, we even got parent feedback just to say, hey, are we moving in the right direction? We feel very, very comfortable. So everyone's excited, so we are going to adopt this. Tonight you'll see on the agenda for the purchase of Big Ideas Learning for grades 9 to 12 for those subject areas. You'll also see on the agenda that this summer we want to bring them together. Those teacher teams will have teams for each of those courses to align curriculum maps, build those common assessments, and kind of do a train the trainer where we kind of dive deep into the materials, train them on how to use it, make sure they're comfortable so we can set them up for success for the next year. So that'll be the expectation 9-12. 7-8 was a little bit of a different story. So coming in, they had a program called CMP, Connected Mathematics. very passionate about connected mathematics. So I didn't feel at first, I was like, there's no need to change something they're very passionate about. But I started asking around, looking at the data. Once again, this was adopted in 2017. I looked at some trend data, which I'll share with you in just a moment. A little bit concerning. Had a few changes. We went from double blocked math to a single block when we changed our bell schedules, so less time. CMP was designed for a 60-plus minute lesson, so we had less time to work with. We made the fiscally responsible and data-driven decision to concentrate our coaches in the elementary school. So we kind of lost those in the middle school. So I needed something also that didn't require so much support on the teacher side to implement a math program. One of the things I did on August 10th, I pulled some sophomores and interviewed them, about 7 sophomores. And I said, I want to know about your experience. I remember this is August 10th, so they just started their sophomore year. Tell me about your experience moving from middle school math up to high school math, 9th grade. I learned so much from those students, but they told me it needs to be harder, we need more homework, it needs to be tougher, and it can't be this always problem-based learning. They said we need to be told how to do things before we get those problems. So based on all of this information, I decided to say, okay, look, even Ed Report says we have some issues here. So we started digging into the data. I wanted to share this with you as well. The new OLS, or the Ohio Learning Standards in 2010, 2011. You see we were doing quite well as a district at GMS, that means Garfield Middle School, percent proficient, big drop in 14, 15. CMP was adopted in 17, 18. You see a little bit of an increase, but not a real big, it just kind of flatlined at Garfield. So not getting the bang for the buck that we were hoping for. Same at Wilson. The Wilson's graph almost looks exactly the same. So it's almost a mirror image, but just a little bit higher. The same issue, both places, data not looking good. So this year, I brought in multiple vendors. I did the same thing. I actually picked 4 different programs, and I said, okay, I'm comfortable with any of these 4. But I want to see where we're at. When I first surveyed the teachers, 50% said, I'm not interested in anything else. So I said, let's just explore. And the more we explored, the more we brought in vendors, the more we started looking at stuff. I got everybody on board saying, yeah, let's definitely move on and try something else. So they want to go with something called Amplified Desmos is the name of the program. So we're going to put together a pilot steering committee. We will pilot this next year. Once again, it'll consist of the department heads, some teachers. We'll also get teachers, student, parent feedback along the way. We'll have regular steering committee meetings on a monthly basis just to say, hey, how's it going? We've already had a getting started PD to get kicked off, so they're kind of ready to go. Also, though, this summer, I want to put together this group and say, okay, let's go ahead and line some of these maps, build some assessments, be sure we're ready to go for this pilot so it's nice and strong, so there's no excuses for them to pitch it up. So that's the plan, to purchase the pilot. Unfortunately, I could not get a free pilot, but I did negotiate with the vendor. We got all the teacher materials for free, the print part free. So we will pilot that, and then this paid summer curriculum work. And as you can see up there, CMP very low on the alignment, but Amplified Desmos is an absolute perfect score. So very confident moving forward that we have a good chance of success. Summary, 9-12, adopt, summer work, 7-8, pilot next year, summer work. That's the direction we're going, so we can be strategically pitch it up to our teachers and our students. Any questions, comments?
Wow, just impressed with the whole process. I mean, how you research that, and how you bring those focus groups in. Kudos. I mean, you know, that's, and I can remember learning back in my day that, you know, I may not have liked Mrs. Cromer, but she was the toughest teacher I had. And so as I look back, I'm like, okay, she was good. But so I think you're right. I mean, if they push you to get to that higher level, you'll go.
Absolutely, yeah.
So appreciate it.
Amazing.
And all your
You're
work. Yep.
I'm glad you're bringing the teachers in
Yep.
so they can buy into the program, 'cause that's important. And then hopefully after the pilot year, you sit down with them and, hey, does this work or does this not work? Because they're right there with the students. So I'm impressed with this. This is great.
Very.
Same. I agree with Mag and Mr. Day about the same thing. You know, bringing the teachers in and have them their input, because again, they're the ones that'll be, you know, in that day to day with it and working with it. So their feedback is equally as important. So appreciate that. And then I know this may not seem like the most, you know, enthusiastic part, but this is stuff that's, you know, that's important. That is, you know, fundamental to our students, obviously. And so we are again glad that they have the necessary resources to be able to be successful and put them in the position that they need to be able to be successful in the future. So again, I appreciate you coming and giving this presentation, and also your disclosure about your arms in the beginning. Appreciate it.
I want to see it.
Bring it back. Recap.
Yeah, very impressive.
But I do also have those same students. I'm going to interview them. Suzanne Huber is setting up another meeting with them now that they've finished their sophomore year. Now my question is going to be, what was your experience like from 9th grade to the high school?
Yeah.
And see if we can make any adjustments based on their feedback, because they know a lot.
Yeah. Great job.
Jeremiah, I appreciate you being intentional, purposeful, and meticulous in the process, because we have to bring all parties together. We have to, and when we talk about using the data, we did look at the data, and we said, okay, what can we do differently? And are we using the right resources? And are we pushing our kids to where they need to be? And do we have enough safety net programming, scaffolding, things like that to assist kids? And I think you have to look at that in totality to do that. Algebra 1 is going to be Algebra 1. I mean, it's the same as it was 50 years ago. It's the approach that you take and the pedagogy that you use in the classroom that's going to make the difference. And I appreciate all your work you're doing on this.
Oh. All right. Thank you.
Also, real quick, can I say thank you all for your presentations, and thank you, Missy, for the for the gift.
Thank you.
I happened to duck in here and see some Henry's gummy bears. Just when you think you're trying to kick the habit, someone brings it back around.
Don't forget about the loose.
And I was getting it. Yes. So listen. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all for the presentations. Great, and like I said, I always enjoy this part of our work session where you really find out what's going on, and all the effort that you put into educating our kids is very appreciated. So thank you so much. I believe Andrea next got a couple items.
Yeah, we just have two announcements that I want to share with the board this evening of some unique opportunities that are coming up for our district. The first one I want to highlight is our Parade of Graduates. That will be Monday, May 13th. Last year, if you recall, Brookwood Elementary did this. This is a tradition that has started in many local districts in the area, where we take our graduating seniors in full cap and gown back to their elementaries to walk through, to see their old teachers, to give them one last hurrah in their old schools and take pictures and reminisce, but it also gives our students a model of where to aim. If they can do it, we can do it too. And so last year, Brookwood did that kind of as a pilot. It was very successful. So with partnering with John and the high school staff, we are taking this to all 8 elementaries. So I will send you kind of the itinerary. So if you're available and want to join us, but our groups of seniors, we have 136 right now. I want to give a huge shout out to the senior house counselors, as well as Mr. Funston, for pushing out communications. So families, if this is the first time you're hearing about this because your senior has not shared, it's not too late to sign up. Those information, they went out, I believe this week, John, were pushed out in Google Classroom, and again next week. But I would love to invite the board to join us. It's a great feel-good moment. We will meet at the high school at 8:30 at that time. And then, like I said, there's strategic stops throughout the community. Our seniors will go to more than one elementary. They will go to their own home elementary or the elementary that they've chosen, and then a few others, just to make sure that we, celebrating our seniors walking across that stage is a district celebration and not just one particular school. So I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware, and you'll see communication coming out. The second one that I want to highlight is actually something that's happening more. Miami Hamilton is doing a unique recruiting venture that they've asked us to partner with them and the city of Hamilton on. They are trying to show people that are interested in going into the field of education all that Hamilton can bring, from the city to the university to our school district. And so Miami Hamilton has arranged with multiple high school seniors that have declared that they are interested in going into education. They are getting on a school bus and coming to Hamilton tomorrow. They're going to tour Miami Hamilton campus. Mr. Smallwood and I are actually going to take our bus tour on the road and show them what this great city has to offer, as well as touring the high school and Highland Elementary, before taking them to Rossville Flats to show them what living can look like and how we can have that urban downtown feel with an exciting nightlife and opportunities. And so we're excited at this new campaign to show this is a town that supports education. If there's one thing I've learned with working with this board and the dedicated leaders and teachers, is people care about schools. Earlier this week, I was able to attend a meeting with the city of Hamilton as we plan kind of what the next 10 years look like in this city. And what came out resoundingly over and over with all of our building principals that were there from the elementaries was, this city cares about our kids and about education. And so this unique opportunity tomorrow is just another extension of that. I can't wait to highlight what we do here in Hamilton. And I just wanted to give you that kind of update.
That's great. Appreciate that, Andrea. Any questions? Okay. I believe.
One other thing, just so, for the people watching online, there is an art show over at the high school tomorrow,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
all day. And I would encourage people to go over and see the art,
11 to 3, I believe it is.
8 to 3.
8 to 3.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. I need a motion to move into executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Frazier?
Mrs. Baker?
Yes,
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
we will move into executive session. Thank you.